Mark chapter 5, verses 1 and 2 reads, "They went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an evil spirit came from the tombs to meet him." Sometimes you end up at a place you did not plan to go. It was that way with the disciples. On the northwestern corner of the Lake of Galilee, Jesus had said, "Let us go over to the other side," Mark 4:35. They probably figured they could hug the shoreline, sail a few miles, and then end up on the northeastern edge of the lake where a number of them had their homes, Bethsaida. But the wind blew them off course, and they hit the shore several miles southeast of Bethsaida at Gerasa or Gadara. I've been blown off course in life a few times myself. I graduated from seminary in California at the age of 23. I was single and I didn't know how I could break into a ministerial position. The only thing I could land was a 10-week job as a youth counselor at a camp in the Poconos of Pennsylvania. I had no idea what I would do after that post. I wrote to a string of pastors between California and Pennsylvania asking if I could show Teen Challenge movies in their churches and preach. A few responded positively, and I laid out an itinerary for my VW Beetle that took me on a zigzag fashion from the West Coast to Wyoming, down to Kansas and Arkansas, and up through Indiana and Ohio to Pennsylvania. One of the churches, however, canceled just before I set out, forcing me to reroute through Springfield, Missouri. I drove onto the campus of my alma mater, Evangel College, now Evangel University, and walked down to the dean's office to say hi. He looked at me and asked me if I wanted to teach that fall. I immediately agreed, and he hired me. I came to work that fall after the camp, promptly met my wife, and the rest is history. The family I have today and the ministry I do all proceeded from an, at the time, unwelcome cancellation. Thank God for closed doors. It means He's opening a door you don't see. A lifelong direction resulted from a course correction I did not engineer. Sometimes Jesus takes us to places we did not intend to end up. We want to go, as did the disciples, to a familiar place where we know our friends and family, but we find ourselves in places we've never been, working in situations we did not choose, or living in a neighborhood not of our desire. It must have been a shock when the disciples found themselves in Gerasene land. It's likewise a shock when we find ourselves where we had no intention of going or wished we did not have to remain. But on the other side of the lake is a person who needed the Lord's help. From the shoreline, he had watched as the boat drew near. Now he races to the waterline to welcome Jesus. The incident became a life lesson for the disciples. Contrary winds would sometimes take them where they had no intention of going, but the Lord knew someone desperately needed their presence, needed their help, and the good news they carried.